Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and this evening we'll talk about Minaj, modern culture, propaganda, and politics. Now, first of all, getting into the Nicki Minaj situation. Now, it did surprise me, but she sat down with Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, and they had a discussion on a turning point. And it seems to me that if you are, I'm not even going to say it seems to me because it's happened to me and so many other brothers I know, and there are some sisters out there that feel the same way I do. I don't want to use the word feel, who believe the same way I do when it comes to these issues. And if you are a minority or a woman, the left will excoriate you if you think for yourself. And Nicki Minaj spoke. She said, boys, nothing wrong with boys being boys. The left wing is already mad. You have Obama out there. You have everybody who followed her out there up in arms because she's thinking for herself. Now, the problem with the left in this country is they always call the right fascist, but it's the left who's basically fascist because if you don't agree with what they say, they want to get violent. They want to cancel you. They're cowards. Cardi B is upset at Nicki Minaj. I remember Cardi B said, I'm not a feminist anymore. She said that a few years ago. Well, the bottom line, when you get older and you have responsibilities and you understand how this country is working, you need to change your plans, your thoughts. Now, I'm not an expert, so I use a lot more common sense. This is why I don't get into any debates here on YouTube, because I look at it when it comes to particularly black men, and I find a number of black men to be very, very weak. They come off like they're red pill, but they're not red pill. They're blue pill, but they're hiding under the red pill umbrella. And they get on these panels, and I, number one, will not do any more panels with women. Never happens to come again where I do panels. The 401 Talk Zone radio show here is a no woman zone. I won't give them wrenches or anything. And see, going back to Nicki Minaj, she said a lot of the right things. Now, the only thing that I'm going to look at is how loyal is she going to be? Because when it comes to women, because there's a show out there, want some masculinity? There's another show. We talk about Landman. We talk about Yellowstone. There's one that I'm watching now. Sylvester Stallone plays in it. And you can see a lot of the unloyalty when women are involved with what's going on. The name of the show I'm talking about is Tulsa King. When you look at some of these TV shows, Taylor Sheridan, he produces those shows. There's another one out there, The Mayor of Knightstown. Well, the problem is when you put women out in front, they destroy everything. Everybody knows it. But you have too many, not just women, too many simps. And shout out to Machismo TV and Brother Guy King, Brother Tito, Mr. O with the info, Salty Balls. Well, me and Guy King were having a conversation about this. And there are a number of guys, and shout out to, and I've been looking at a little bit more of his content. His name is Accountable Commentary. He doesn't cam up, but his content is pretty good. The only thing that I can see is I and I can't tell people where to go with their channels, but I want a number of black men, at least Angry Man does do it, to go a little bit more into the politics. I mean, listen, I agree with what Nicki Minaj says, and I would say the same thing. I've gotten around brothers, and I told them I voted for Donald Trump, and they look at me like I'm crazy. I even had a incident with my own mom. She was disappointed. And see, this is one thing that I'm not going to let. I'm not going to let a woman, that's my mom, I love and respect, the other woman keep me on a plantation, especially when you are 60 years old like me, because there are a number of Gen Xers who are my age, and we are at the beginning of the Gen Xers, and some of us still have that baby boomer thinking. The bottom line is, if you want to make things go, you have to change the way you think. Now, Minaj said a lot of things that I would have said. Now, why is everybody upset with her? Well, because it wasn't that long ago when she was lap dancing with Little Wayne when he was on stage. So it wasn't that long ago where she had the blonde wig. It wasn't that long ago when she was actually on a video when Kevin Samuels was around. But people can change. Bottom line is, what the left wants in this country, they want individuals to depend on the government. They're not for America. I know Sweet Chocolate, TJ sent me something, and I looked at it 3 times. It's a lot of propaganda going on about Trump. But see, what it is with the propaganda, the media, and the Democrats, they're going to keep feeding the media bullshit until the midterms. Because the only way the Democrats can win is by going against everything that Trump says. Now, of course, you have a lot of dummies out here who are going to go listen to the propaganda because they don't do any research at all. But Mom Dummy, I'm still looking at that. You think Mondami is going to give away the kitchen sink for free? Nothing's free. See, Mondami he knew how dumb the young voters were. So we went around, charismatic. He offered something different, and he got the young people to vote for him. He's not going to give them socialism. But see, what Nicki Minaj said is boys will be boys. You don't hear that. Because men, and I have to blame it on men, and it's not just black men who are simps, it's white men who are simps as well. They've allowed women to run all over them. The Me Too movement, men haven't counteracted. When women say something that's of excoriation in the workforce, men don't do anything. Men don't do anything when it comes to being essayed at school. Men don't do anything when a woman slaps him upside the head. Because if he slaps her back, you're going to get a simp ass Negro. And I've seen videos where he's going to come beat up on the man. And that simp ass Negro didn't even know what went on. But see, you have all this policing going on for women out there. And this is what Minaj was actually talking about. You see, you cannot have a society without men leading. Women are not going to build. Example, I will take you to the black community. What is functioning there? Nothing but a bunch of moms. And there was this black woman on one of Anton's videos. He said, well, we want to form an all-woman community. Well, go ahead, see how long that's going to last. Where are you going to get the water from? Who's going to run it? Women don't like each other. And when it comes to creating something, women don't create anything. They spend everybody's money. I mean, when it comes to dates, the bottom line is this: the media. The media is doing the lying and the bidding for the Democrats. And see, when you are out in the open square and the only message you have is, I hate Trump. What do you hate Trump? Number you were on board when he was a Democrat, even Oprah. And then you get the Epstein files out there. And here's what the media wants you to think. They want you to think that Trump had something to do with the Epstein files. Just because Trump was with Epstein, it doesn't mean he was out there on the island with Epstein. Doesn't mean he engaged in some nefarious activities. But I guarantee you had some of the Democrats. And it was the Democrats who actually had something to do with the Epstein files. Well, what they put out last year when Biden was in office. And then you have people like Joe Biden. This is the propaganda out here saying that the economy was better under him. Well, the bottom line is the economy was worse. We had more illegals come in here. We had, basically because everything was going the left's way, nothing was said. Now that it is flipped, I'm hearing people saying, well, Trump is going to lose the midterm. See, the media is feeding everybody that. And see, when you have a lot of sheeple, they are not loyal to anybody. They don't know about politics. And what Trump is doing is playing chess. And I appreciate what Nicki Minaj did. I mean, she went up there, she's for Trump. And again, and I'm going to say to a number of you Black women out there, if you did vote for Trump, be proud you did. Yes, I know things might be a little tough. The economy is a little sluggish because there are some areas like coffee and beef that are high right now. But even when the economy isn't what you believe it is, there are some things, energy, gas is going down. And it also depends on what state you live in. The bottom line is you have a number of individuals who don't educate themselves with what's going on. And the media is very, very potent. And this is why media like mine, I would rather have 1 million of my channels, which are small, rather than one big channel. Why? It's like McDonald's. If you close one McDonald's, it's not going to affect the business of McDonald's. But if you have one big entity and they shut it down, it's going to affect it. This is why we need more small channels out here who are talking about politics, particularly in the Black area. But it seems to me that a number of Black people, they don't read, they don't understand history, they don't really understand how government works. They don't understand that there are 3 branches of government and they're supposed to keep each other in check. And it's just not on the federal level, but it's on the local level. And in the end, the bottom line, you have to look at what's going on. There's a divide in this country. It's very, very partisan. The blue states versus the red states. And right now, if you look at the blue states, they're the ones that have all the higher prices. Now, I heard somebody say that gas is about $4 out in North Dakota. If somebody did say that, put that in my comment section. I don't know. I don't live in North Dakota, but North Dakota is an upper northwest part of the Midwest, and I can't see gas being that high. I believe they had that pipeline running through North Dakota. But when you hear the left, every day they get up here, it's the same record. and they're going to continue to play the same record for the next year. You have people again, Jasmine Crockett. That's kind of settled down a little bit, running for Senate. She's not going to win Senate in Texas. Now, again, here in Indiana, Trump was on a warpath again, trying to get Indiana to adjust their boundaries. Well, gas here is about 260 here. So you think gas is high? Oh, just got word North Dakota is 260 for gas. So whoever said $4, see, why it always gives me some research. It's 260, which right around here, it's running between 250 and 299. Here in the Indianapolis area, it's 299. What were we paying last year? We were still over $3 for gasoline. You have to understand the economy. And let me tell you something else. They're not telling you the price of eggs. First of all, with eggs, do you buy eggs every day? No. Do you buy coffee every day? Heck, most of us drink coffee at work. You can get it for free. I get it for free at work. But the bottom line, when it comes to black people, this is why I don't like to associate myself with my own kind, because they're still on the plantation. I had somebody one time, and I'm not going to bring his name out there. He's a good brother. Worked with him when I was working for the city of Indianapolis. He said, I voted for the wrong person. Well, based on my success, I didn't vote for the wrong person. I voted for the right person. See, I didn't vote for the transgender. I didn't vote for all that bullshit. I voted for tax cuts. I voted for, now here's what you got to understand, no tax on overtime. Well, no tax on overtime, I believe, or no tax on tips up to $25,000. Now, the no tax on overtime, there might be a cap on that too. And I know why there's a cap on that, because in 2028, if a Republican wins and Republicans have the House and Senate, they can go ahead and go full swing by saying, okay, we're not going to tax overtime or tips at all. So you have to understand the games that are played with politics. And what you got going on now, you got individuals on the left and the right who want to try to destroy Trump. Now, Republicans are doing it because they're scared. They're scared little chickens. I have never, ever seen a Republican with some balls. That they don't have it. Marjorie Taylor Greene quit because she didn't get her way. You don't want, look, you watch Tulsa King, with Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, it's a mafia-based show. They have a hierarchy, but you don't want babies in your camp, weaklings in your camp. Why? Because it's that weakling that you have to constantly pick up, and that weakling is constantly gullible. And what you do in the real world, if you really want some answers, you get it from the people who are weak. This is why it's easy to control women. You can't trust them. You throw a bone out there, they're going to take it. They're very, very gullible. Well, this is what the media is doing. But for everybody who's shaming Nicki Minaj because she has her own beliefs, you're the problem. And she said, hey, you're gonna keep on hating. You know, these individuals, the media puts it out there like the National Guard is hammering or ICE, not the National, ICE is taking everybody from their homes. First of all, there are a lot of criminals out there. And for you individuals who want the immigrants to stay, well, why don't you go over there with them? We could live without you. And see, the Democrats keep pounding this affordability. Well, you get some of these illegals out, you have housing. Now, what kind of housing do the Democrats want? Do they want everybody to live in public housing? Well, we don't know that. But what I do know is this. The Democrats don't care about anybody in America. The Democrats have never cared about America. And they keep saying this white privilege. Well, you got some individuals who aren't white who are also privileged as well. And you got some whites who aren't privileged. You've had some whites who were slaves as well. But see, you have a lot of these books out here, particularly in the public school system, they just rewrite history. They want us to learn all of this stuff about trans and everything. Look, bottom line is the two genders, male and female. There's no science that says you were born gay or lesbian, or let me change it, same sex. But even YouTube, if YouTube, all these corporations are run by the left. See, these are the individuals who are funneling money to the Democrats. And what I'm telling some of my fellow YouTubers to do, or what I'm suggesting them to do, is we have 11 months till the midterms. Start getting more engaged with what's going on in your state, in your city. And let's not put these socialists in office, because you put these socialists in office, Trump's legacy is going to be destroyed. We don't want Trump to be a lame duck president. And the bottom line, see, the media has it, and you get, and this is what I'm talking about. You have MAGA. They're saying MAGA is dead. No, MAGA is not dead. The media is telling you that MAGA is dead. They're putting all that propaganda out to try to get individuals on the right not to go out and vote or not to go out and think for themselves. The media, again, is a very powerful machine. The media is run by corporate interests. You don't hear anybody, when they talk about the Jews out here, anti-Semitic. Well, it's a lot of your Jewish people, and they make up a very small portion of this country, but they own a lot of the media. In fact, the number of your Jewish people, and rest in peace, Rob Reiner, people like him, they're on the left. Most of your Jewish people who are in California, your Barbara Streisands, you have a lot more out there. They are on the left. And these are the ones that are giving money to the Democratic Party. Oprah, she's another one. Where's Oprah at when it comes to Epstein? I know she's probably in there somewhere. And there are other Democrats out there. Hakeem Jeffries. So they're saying that the DOJ didn't open all the files. For me, I don't really care about the Epstein files. Now, do I care about the victims? Yeah, if I know who the victims were. But we don't know who the victims were. But the propaganda machine, what they want to distract Trump, and Trump has got to be very smart about this. Okay, you use your goons out there, you got a cabinet, use your goons to get the message out there and go out to the people. And right now, Trump is going out to the people because AOC said, well, we got the blue cities out there. Well, you know what? It's funny. You had a number of individuals when Trump did that rally in New York. Yeah, it's a blue city. She had a lot of Trump supporters. Although Trump was not on that ticket, he's going to have a big impact. And what Trump needs to do, he needs to go out there, just surprise 20, 30 minutes, where media is going to have to jump in and cover. You want to get the media on its heels. It's like, I'm going to use a football analogy. My team is down by 7 points, and I have 2 minutes to go for the winning touchdown. Well, I'm going to put the defense on its heels by going on offense. Well, what's that defense going to play? Are they going to play zone? Are they going to play cover zero? Or are they going to play cover two? I'm going to confuse them so they don't know where I'm coming from. Well, what Trump has got to do, he's got to go out and use the power of the bully pulpit. And you got Obama. Obama's washed up. Obama is the reason why we are in the situation now when it comes to racism. Obama. He opened up that can of worms when he came in. He didn't do anything for blacks. But see, black people, they will vote for anybody that looks black, even if they're not black. Kamala Harris, she thought she could use Howard University, where she went to school, to fit in with blacks. But in the long run, she doesn't care anything about black people. She talks so much about single mothers. And see, when it comes to women, it's the women in my generation, Gen X on down. At least the baby boomers, yeah, they had the older ones. I'm talking about the ones who were in the 70s, and then you had the silent generation. Some of them still have the good sense, but we got some of our women, particularly the African American women. It's funny how I'm seeing a lot of women on all these news shows, and they're giving nothing but an opinion. They're not doing any real research. They're just giving an opinion. And the opinion's based off of emotion. They're taking people like Leslie Jones, and they're making fun of her. They're putting her on shows like Kelly Clarkson, and they're mocking her. But she doesn't know it. And the media is always going to use the loudmouth black woman. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen dysfunction in the whites as well. They do have dysfunction. But see, they don't air it out like we do. And I've seen people here on YouTube. You have one dude, I'm not going to bring his name out. He's constantly bragging about being on welfare. But he's putting people who served in the military down. Like, if you work for the government and you put in enough time, he thinks that's welfare. Well, that's not welfare, because he paid with it with his time. And then he said 90% of the people, well, 90% of the people who go in the military, no, it's another guy. Shout out to Mr. Fantastic. He brought that up. 90% of the people who go in the military don't pick up a gun. Well, for the most part, it's peacetime. That's what you have the combat units for. But the bottom line, when you put on a uniform, what are you going to say for a cop? A cop does 20 years for the city, for the state, for the feds. And then after 20, 30 years, after putting in that time, they get a pension check. That's welfare? No, that's not welfare. That's retirement. See, he has it confused for what retirement, and then he thinks he's smarter than everybody, and what he does, he uplifts the streets. But if the streets were that great, how come there aren't any black businesses in those streets? How come there are not men in those streets running the streets? You might have some gangsters who were raised by women. You have a lot of violence, but you have violence on the white side as well. So I'm not going to exclude the white, because you have all these shootings. The blacks are shooting each other in the cities, and the whites, they're going out shooting each other at these schools. So you basically have the same thing. This is why I'm not calling out all these crime statistics. I'm actually looking at what's happening. And you have a number of men here who are really afraid to be men. They have taken the attitude of being defeated. That, well, we can't win the war out here. Well, you can win the war if you are educated. Stop trying to always, when it comes to these women out here, stop looking for them to validate you. You validate yourself. That's the problem. A lot of men don't use common sense. Like I said, in the black community, black women, and it's true, and I'm going to say it again, they utilize, they want tradition only from the man's side. Well, a number of women here, they want the men to be traditional. And this goes back to where the women want to still have their own while we have to share ours with women. And that's a deceptive tactic to make them look like, okay, they're breaking down the barriers by men having to share everything with them while they have their own to make them look independent. See, the media is bringing up all kinds of misinformation. And the reason why they're bringing up the misinformation is because you have a number of individuals who are very, very illiterate. They're very, very stupid. I'm going to use stupid when it comes to what's going on. Or do they care what's going on? No, they're not fully engaged. And what I'm sick of here on YouTube, and I'm going to repeat it, you have a number of women out here who are complaining about men. Well, if you don't like men, don't deal with them. And same for the guys, too. If you're not a fan of women, don't deal with them. And maybe you have to look at yourself. It might not be the man or the woman's fault. But we have too many individuals who are simps. Men are leading off with money, saying, I have a good look. Bottom line is this, guys, I'm getting into a social topic. No matter how much money you make, you can't buy love from that woman who's not interested in you. And for women out there, some of you, since people took my smash and dash, I had to create another saying. You got individuals who are just going to pop and drop. It's my new one. You hear pop and drop, that came from me. But that's what some of you women are because of how you carry yourself in life. Guys aren't going to take you seriously. But you have too many individuals. You know, now, I mean, they're going off. Now they want to cancel Nicki Minaj. So you want to cancel her for having her own mind. So really what her supporters want her to do is walk around like a robot, a battery on their back. That's bullshit. But that's how people think in this country. They're followers. And they don't even know what they're following. And the only thing that they have in common on the left is, let's go and hate Trump. But why do you hate Trump? Because he's not giving you your way? He wants law and order out here? I mean, there was a Supreme Court ruling today that said Trump can't bring in the National Guard to Chicago. Well, you have things that, and then they're getting on Trump for going after all these boats, bringing in drugs. Well, don't people understand there's a Monroe Doctrine out there? No, they don't, because they don't read. They hear what they want to hear. And then, you know, what I'm also tired of is, you know, the women up here saying emotional intelligence. Fuck that emotional intelligence. That's something that emotional intelligence is something that came up in the 1990s. And that's based on the IQ that came up in the early 1910s that started in French, and it was a test to show how intelligent you were. So there's IQ and actually EQ, which is emotional quotient, or we refer to that as emotional intelligence. Emotions don't have intelligence to me. That's what's screwing everybody up right now. We're looking at everything through a emotion. This is why I came up with lead. Lies, emotions, assumptions, and deceit, deception. A number of people have a bunch of diseases. They just, and the disease they have is they lack discipline, attention, they lack focus. This is why I make my videos a little longer. I don't make short videos. You know, I try to make them short, but I make them at least 45 minutes to an hour. You know why? Because I know that my audience, and I don't have to have a large audience. I want to have an audience that is educated enough to understand what's going on. I'm not looking for a bunch of goons out there. I'm not even looking for a bunch of subscribers out there. And that's another thing too. Just because you have a lot of subscribers, I want to tell you this, and I salute the individuals who have been successful on YouTube. And to me, success is, can you stay with it? Now, I don't make what everybody makes on YouTube, but I've stayed with it. And I don't do YouTube every day. I do it because I want to put this news out there because you need to hear it. You have a bunch of people feeding you bullshit all day and you're running with it. Again, going on with the black community. I mean, you have people, and I like people like Philip Scott. It's funny. He was pro-black, but where he got caught up in his rhetoric is, so he had to change his channel and everything because he was like Tommy Sotomayor. Well, he got caught up because he married a white Mexican woman. But to keep his audience, he had to change his big channel to the Black Diaspora channel. But he tries to fit in with some politics. See, a lot of the Gen X black men, the older ones, like I'm going to say, who were born between my year 1965, maybe to around 1972, 1973. I don't trust those Gen Xers because they still have the thinking of the baby boomers. They're not like me. Again, they believe in that propaganda that the Democrats have taught them. And they let their mommies tell them what to do. I mean, I remember I had a discussion with my mom when it came to voting. She said, well, I went out there to fight the vote. I said, that's good, but fighting the vote doesn't mean I vote for the candidate you want me to vote for. In the black community, blacks talk about, well, we're not a monolithic people, but they want you to be monolithic. They all want you to be on the plantation. They have the crabs in the barrel mindset. They've always had it. This is why we can't have black businesses. And you have it over there in the white community too. It's just that you don't see it. This is why I always say, don't worry about somebody else's pocket. Look at what you're doing. Like a YouTube, I'm not intimidated by individuals who have 1.5 or 2 million subscribers. They work to get where they got what they got. This is what they wanted to do. More power to them. However, your voice can make a difference as well if you keep at it. And my channel is not even monetized. I don't want it monetized. I just come up here and I bring you information that's not being reported in the news. And again, might sound like I'm all over the place, but I got to give it to Nicki Minaj now. I'm just going to watch her. Because, women have the tendency to be loyal. And then if it doesn't benefit them, they will change. It's what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene and so many other Republicans. They're defecting. They're defecting because these are the ones that faked the funk. They got on board. They were grifting. They got caught up in their grift. They don't want to play ball with Trump. I'm talking about the Republicans. We already know the Democrats don't want to play ball, but the Republicans don't want to play ball. They got caught up. And now some of them are leaving Congress. And everybody believes because of the poll. And that's another thing. Propaganda, the polls. Well, the polls aren't being recorded right. We don't know who's going to win the midterms. We don't. The bottom line is Trump hasn't gotten everything started. It takes time for the economy to work. Now, he is looking at giving out $2,000 or a $2,000 check to a lot of our taxpayers like me from the tariffs. You don't hear too much about the tariffs. But see, here's the thing that you have to understand too. And you have to be very clear with this. And even the media doesn't know, and academia doesn't know. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. What we do is speculate. We have an opinion out there, but now where you can start utilizing facts is number one, never believe a politician. Anybody who's been in office and they're a career politician, they're liars. Trump is not a politician. He is trying to get something done. People like Joe Biden and Obama, they've been around the DC circuit for a long time. They weren't trying to get anything done. They just want to make a name for themselves. And lo and behold, they made a name for themselves. And a lot of these Congress people, they've been around Washington all their lives. They don't want change. And do people here in America really want change? No, because if they really wanted change, they would look at what this administration is doing. Every administration makes mistakes. But again, the media is just, they're out here every day. And when I say media, it's on social media, like TikTok. See, most of you have to understand this. A lot of your individuals who are ignorant on TikTok. This is why I know people like ABL. We need to get individuals over there on TikTok. Now, I sound like a hypocrite myself, but I have no interest in going on TikTok. I cannot deal with stupid people. I got to deal with them driving every day, people not paying attention. You have a number of people that live in their own little world. They don't understand the real world, or they don't want to deal with the real world because you have to be accountable for what you do in the real world. And the reason why people don't understand the real world because they're like little sheep. So, people like Nicki Minaj, she's thinking for herself. And there are lots of other people who are of the black persuasion, like me, who think for ourselves. Now, I did see a video early where Africans think that FBA's foundational Black Americans should be deported. Why is that? You all still was, even if you, this is a problem, even if you look like me, you've come over here off the benefit. Now, I will say this, and then this is where I'm going to give the black people credit now. This is why, because I'm thinking, so I'm not swaying from one, being biased here. Black people open the door up for everybody else to come in here. And black people still got the short end of the stick. All these movements that the left has, black people opened up the doors. The feminist movement. Now, feminist movement, I don't know when it actually started. I don't know if it was Susan B. Anthony or people like Shirley Chisholm. But I know you hear the word women's suffrage. And see, this is how powerful the media is. When the media kept on saying, well, marriage is suffrage. Well, if it's suffrage, how come people are doing it? Even though the divorce rate is high, how come people are still doing it? Is it that much of a suffrage? No, it's not. But the media drives that. And when it comes to churches are putting out propaganda. All, the dishonesty comes from the deception of people because they want everybody to hate Trump. So the Democrats, and that's just another form of cheating. Now, I'm hoping that a voter ID law is passed. Get rid of some of that voter fraud. Now, there's something that just came out that in 2020 in Georgia, it's what you're not hearing, but I've heard it in Georgia, right around 330 votes were illegal votes. So how many votes did Biden win by? Maybe 11,000 votes. So if you take out those 330,000 votes in that state, Trump would have won that state. Now, would he have won the presidency? I don't know, because there was some voter irregularities going on in Michigan, in Wisconsin and Philadelphia. And this is why, again, you need voter ID laws. You know, the bottom line is what you see out here going on is individuals, and that's a shame, individuals who really don't like this country. They don't. But they'll come over to this country and make money, send it back to their country. But they come over to this country with their flag and they start grandstanding about their country. Well, if your country is so great, it's better than this country, why don't you go back to where you came from? Why don't you be part of their system? See, when you look at people, they're hypocrites. They're not consistent people. This is why I don't trust a lot of people. Well, I got to look at them sideways, particularly even in my own race, especially when I see these panels. This is why we'll never go on and never say never. I will never go on any of these panels here unless I create a panel. And if I create a panel, the stupid people are not coming on my panel. Now, if my panel sounds like an echo chamber, so be it. I'd rather be around like-minded people because with Black people, you can't discuss issues without them calling you some type of name, like a coon, Sambo. When you know who the real sellouts are, the real sellouts are the ones who are doing the name calling because they can't win the argument. They don't understand the numbers. And some of them who are calling you all those names and shaming, they think they're smart. They're not smart. So the education system is one of the worst systems out here now. It's created a lot of dumb people. You have individuals who don't even know how to write cursive. Cursive. Had to learn how to write cursive. So, not signing in that. Now, I had to help one of my coworkers because we have to sign documents at work. Well, he was a younger guy, and I had to tell him, I said, you know, it's funny how you look at people like me who you think don't understand technology. I was around when they were creating the technology. All you all did was improve it, but you don't even know how to go with a document. And yes, you can sign a Word document without actually signing it with a pen. I'm going to tell you how you do it because I do it all the time. If you go onto your ribbon and there's a draw, you take your mouse and you can sign your name. I sign it in blue. That's right. The reason why I sign it in blue because it looks more original in blue. I don't sign it in black. And then I write cursive in a certain way so my handwriting can't be altered. But these are things that people don't tell you. But when it comes to all the politics out here, bottom line is you need to understand what is going on out here. You know, just getting up here, preaching a bunch of BS here on social media, yeah, it might make you feel good when you have an opinion, but the bottom line is you want to be credible. Now, of course, you had a number of individuals who have written books out there, but even if you've written books, you know, my job up here is to teach men. And when I say teach men, I'm talking about teaching men how to be better men, how to understand finances, how to understand health and fitness, how to understand politics. You see, right now, you have a number of women going into politics, leading. Well, again, when women take over something, you know they're going to fuck it up. It's true. Because number one, they're going in there with the misandrous complex. Oh, well, we hate men. Men did this to it, blaming all men for the men that they fuck with. Excuse my language, but I have to put it out with a delivery like that. Because you have a number of individuals who are still little children, although they have male and female adult bodies, their mindset. They live in delusion, the land of delusion. You know, when you are a black person, and for black people, here's what I want you to start doing too. If you are going to be on a conservative side, know what conservatism is. Don't just say you are conservative because you disagree with the feminist women. Look at why you're a conservative. What are you really for? Like me, I'm for low taxes. I'm for entrepreneurship. I'm for a strong economy by producing better goods and services. I want small government. I want my money to be here in America. I don't want my money going to foreign nationals to improve their countries. I don't care about their countries. I want law and order in this country. That's what I want. Because I named some issues. Now, in the long run, too, here's where I have some liberal views. Number one, I don't care. Look, we have two genders, but what you do in your bedroom is your business. Do I believe in helping the poor out? Helping the poor out through donations. Now, should we have a safety net? Yes, but we should not have that safety net abused by people who shouldn't be here. In other words, because I know we get hard on Americans on food stamps. But what about the foreign nationals here on food stamps and getting better health care? And, we're telling Americans they can't buy certain items with food stamps or EBT. But what about the foreign nationals, the illegals? They're taking some of that cash and probably sending it back home. I'm an imperial guy. Help your own country first. Certainly, we have problems in this country. Now, do you have to interact globally? See, the problem is globally, you have a lot of socialist countries out there, a lot of dictators, particularly in countries like Africa. You look at those people, that's why they come over here. And, like, I'm just going to go back to the women again. Some of the women want to come over here and get green cards because America is just a haven for rebellious women. That's what it is. They have an intact patriarchy where for black people, we don't have a patriarchy. Okay. We never had a patriarchy. I'm just going to say this, we have a de facto matriarchy. And when I say de facto, it's because even the men who are supposed to be protectors, they cater to women. They do. And even with the two-parent households, the men cater to the women. Now, I know Edward Anderson and I know Sergeant Willie Pete, they played a clip, and it was actually from 2010 when a black woman said, I have the final say. I run my household. If any woman ever said that to me, I said, you're going to run your household out there. You don't run shit. And see, too many men allow women to get away with it. But you have a lot of simps out here. And I'm saying simps, not just with black men, it's with white men too. Men have gotten weaker. And when you start feminizing everything, this is why women can get away with what they get away with. Now, I was discussing it with Guy King. It is our fault as men. And what it is with men too, when I hear somebody talk about how great the streets are, that's an unsuccessful guy. That's a guy that's broke. Broke people, here's the thing I want to tell you this. Broke people love to complain about what's not fair. Well, why are you broke? Broke people drain the system. And nobody wants to be around anybody who's broke. They don't. And men, I hate to say this, men talk about women, but men are going for women that they're out of their league. It's one of the problems with men, and I see it. Now, when I'm out there in the real world, go to Walmart. Well, if you shop at Walmart and you see women shopping at Walmart, or if you go to, I'm going to say Myers and Kroger, the everyday store, well, it's not like you're shopping at Fresh Market or any of these other high dollar stores. No, you're shopping at Walmart. Type of person people you're going to run into. And everybody who goes to Walmart, it's not bad. Just because somebody is working at a Waffle House or working at a McDonald's, problem, and I'm going to say this, the problem with a number of men, they're they're going outside their league. And here's the problem. When I say go outside their lane, they're trying to impress other men. We all know that. With a trophy. Look, if you have a woman, I'm talking about standards now. You want a certain standard, like you don't want anybody with children. You don't want anybody who's a grandmama with grown children living at home with a bunch of dogs. You have every right to that. And if a woman doesn't want to deal with that, then tell her to pound sand. But same thing. If a woman has a standard, because a number of women in this country, like I said, sex in America really isn't based on love for the most part. It's a commodity. This is why you have a number of women who give it up so easily. But what they're doing is they're using social media, DMs. See, they're not actually going out on the streets being 304s. They're actually taking cash apps because you have a lot of desperate men. And usually, when a man is desperate, he's going to take anything without vetting it. And that's where men get caught up. But he's going to try to get the most beautiful person. Well, sometimes the most beautiful person has all these options. They're not going to be loyal to you. It's just a fact. The bottom line is, as a man, what you have to do is keep yourself groomed. And groom, keep your hair cut, keep your teeth done. You don't have to wear a suit either. Wear matching clothes. Don't go out there. I'm not a fan of flamboyant clothes. I know when I watched NFL Today, Nate Burleson, who was a wide receiver for the Seahawks and the Vikings, and Michael Irvin, who's on NFL Network. A lot of the Negroes are wearing all this flashy stuff. Now that's what they want to wear. Be like James Brown on Fox, wear a nice suit. Be like Bill Cowher, wear a nice suit. It's all you need to wear. Michael Strahan, wear a nice suit. Sometimes Michael Strahan may wear some flashy stuff, but we don't have to be flamboyant. Now, I'm not knocking people for what they do, but when you deal with media, what media is going to do, it's going to produce an image. This is why they love to use black women, because they know black women are going to act the fool. People like Leslie Jones, they're showing you how black women are going to act the fool. And they think they're strong and getting sassy. Meanwhile, people are laughing at him. But you know what? People think Leslie Jones running them up, talking a bunch of shit. They think she's all right. But Nicki Minaj, they think she's a horrible person because she decided to think for herself and vote differently. There's another person too. I can't remember her name. She's from Philadelphia. She had the slut walk. Somebody put it in my comment section. She had a tattoo on her forehead. Now it shocked me too. That she was at the RNC and she spoke. I forgot who the Amber Rose, that's her name. Yeah, it shows you don't hear about Amber Rose because she changed the way she approaches the world. So there are celebrities. Of course, you don't have people as cool as individuals like Sylvester Stallone and John Boyd. No. But the bottom line is this. The media, the Democrats are going to be jumping right to the media. And they're telling lies. And it's our job to dispel all lies. And we need more people to reach out and start talking about the Nicki Minaj situation. And why do I say that? Because you get more women out there, sensible women, who are not going to be part of the Democratic Party's plantation platform, that actually helps decide on the right. But you got to understand why you vote the way you vote. That's the thing. You just can't vote and sound like a coon. And like I said, your real sellouts are your Billy Porters, your Ricky Smileys, your D.L. Hewleys, and even, I like Dave Chappelle, but he's kind of sliding over there too. Your Magic Johnsons, your Oprahs. It was a shit show at the Democratic National Convention. And then you're bringing Obama in there. He's wagging his finger. He's scared of his wife because he doesn't run his household. What's the problem with Obama? Believe me, Obama's going to be out there campaigning as well. But see, here's the problem. This isn't 2008. This is 2025. And then it'll be 2026. And Obama's not president anymore. Donald Trump was president. Now, something tells me Joe Biden may get up there. But see, Joe Biden, what he needs to do, he needs to stay in Delaware, hit the beach, drink him a pina colada, let his wife massage his back. He doesn't need to get out there. But Obama's going to get out there. They're going to be bringing all the celebrities. Because that's what the Democrats run on. The celebrities donate a lot of money. And it's kind of funny when I hear the Democrats and the media doesn't say it. But the Democrats have a lot of donors. Look how much money went into the governorships for Virginia and New Jersey. And the Democrats acted like they won something. But they won areas that they should have won because the candidates were bad in the Republican Party. Now, the Republicans, they won a special election in Tennessee, but the Republicans should have won. But see, the media, you got to watch the pollsters too. The media makes it look like there was a poll that I saw, and I don't know where they got it from. It was a CNN poll. It said that 72% of the Americans in July, I believe it was July, I'm going off of memory, said the economy was bad. 72%. And 76 or was 76% in July, 72 right now, or November. That's what it said. 76% people said unemployment is bad. Well, Where do they get that number if 77 million people voted for Donald Trump? Are people that amused? And we have individuals that say they've left MAGA when you would never would MAGA in the first place. You were grifting, that's all. You want to get some shine right here on these platforms, but you weren't loyal. And in the end, because you weren't loyal, you've allowed yourself to be exposed. People like Laura Loomer, people like, and I'm talking about people on the right, uh, individuals like, he used to be on Fox too, Bill, I forgot what his name is. And see, what it is with the Republicans, they got to get that old guard out there. We need some new blood who's not afraid to fight. Bill Kristol is his name. All these old guys are right there when Bush was running, going back to the 2000s and the 90s and the 80s. Got to get them out of there. No use for them. And when it comes to the older people, they're always going to be on a plantation because the older people, and I hate to say this, a lot of the older people, the media is not going to tell you this. People haven't created anything. They were very comfortable. They had jobs. They weren't interested in being an entrepreneur. But they vote. That's the problem. They vote. But they're comfortable. They had no initiative to do anything. And so that initiative wasn't passed down. They were told you got to go to college. College is the answer. What's not the answer? College is a lot of debt. Again, you're going to hear me repeat this too. The media said, well, some of these degrees are no longer professional degrees. No, they are professional degrees. It's the cap that they utilized. Again, you're a nursing student, an architecture student. Most architects, nurses, they don't go to school for a master's degree because they can already get a license. But you have the media saying something totally different. Oh, they took these degrees and made them non-professional, and they're doing that because of these are all female jobs. And it takes a black woman, and I have to say this: a lot of you black women out there, you need to get off the microphone. Any of you don't know what you're talking about on the social media. And I'm talking about the ones who got sense, the ones who are going on Instagram, the ones going on TikTok. See, TikTok, you put a lot of dumb people out there on TikTok. But the dumb people are influenced by other dumb people. And that's what's causing a rift because these dumb people vote and they vote the wrong people in there. They're going to follow I don't like Trump. They're going to misuse history. They're going to have this idea of, oh, I'm oppressed. You're oppressed because you. Now, I'm not saying pick yourself up from the bootstraps. Some of us need a hand. But you have a number of people who don't want to do anything. That's up to you. They want people to feel sorry for them. That's the problem. We've allowed a lot of individuals to just grab the microphone and say what they want to say without being vetted. But yet, people like Nicki Minaj and there are others who went to Turning Point. They give you their input and they're actually spitting facts. Now they want to cancel. This is what the Democrats do. They're cowards. They can't win in a booth. They have to try to intimidate individuals by picking them off with violence. The Democrats don't want law and order. They really don't. They want high taxes. They talk about affordability. Well, get some of these illegals out, building more houses. Well, you can build more houses, but you don't want those houses to sit there either. That's another thing. You build as many houses as you want, but what kind of houses do they want? They want a bunch of high rises in the city like they have in China, where people can live on top of people. You see, the globalists and all the oligarchs, that's the problem. In America, like I said, yeah, do we have some stupid white people as well? Absolutely. But in the end, I just, want to say this. What we need to do is continue to go out on different social media platforms. We need to not fear getting canceled. Here on the 401 Talk Zone radio show channel, try to be as balanced as I can. But what I see out here, you got to see as stupid people. These stupid people are in denial. They live in fantasy land. Yeah, you're not making enough money. Well, if you're not making enough money, the bottom line is, okay, why are you spending more than you make? And then if the economy is that bad, I can tell you here, that's subjective too, because a lot of the stores were crowded when I came down 82nd Street here in Indianapolis, crowded. And I'm in the Castleton area. And in the Castleton area is nothing but stores coming all the way from Hague Road, all the way, until it turns into 86th Street till you get down there to Keystone. But then if you go down 86th Street, you got stores, eating places. So I don't know where you all live, but the economy here in Indiana is pretty good. And tourism is up here as well. I've been reading that. See, a lot of people don't know what's going on in their own state. So you can't say the economy is bad. Now, maybe where you live is bad because you don't have a lot of work. You don't. And I'm talking about skilled work. That's the problem. Some industries that aren't there, like some places in Ohio, West Virginia. And no, not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur. But what you need to understand is, what's really going on in your state. Gas prices are coming down. And we're going to have more coming down. Because if your energy comes down, your gas prices come down. It's a matter of supply and demand. What's in demand? And then groceries. To me, groceries are subjective. Where are people shopping? If you're shopping over there at Sam's Club or Costco or BJ's Wholesale Warehouse, you're buying in bulk. You're actually saving money buying in bulk if you have a family. And then what are you buying? Most Americans buy junk, stuff that is not even relevant. They don't really buy what they need. They're running out there like Christmas holiday. They're going out here shopping for ungrateful family members just so they can be fake, say Merry Christmas, and then stab you in the back. Family, I'm going to tell you something. Family will screw you over more than anybody. And then people who love you, they'll screw you over more than anybody. Because they expect it because of being flesh and blood. But I'm just going to say this. Watch out for the media. Please watch out for the media. The media is very powerful. Watch out for the influencers. Because really, the issue is you have a number of people who are very, very gullible. They don't do a lot of reading. And it's not just the alphas and the Zs, it's so many X's, it's some of the millennials, some of the baby boomers. They really don't understand change because they got comfortable. Bottom line is, you can't get comfortable all the time or complacent. You have to have your ears open and you have to listen to what the media is saying. The media is all run by corporations as well. And you have a lot of stock in the media. The media is about money themselves. And the media is going to put out nothing but propaganda. This is why you have to be very, 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 very efficient with listening. A lot of us don't listen. We feel too much. And when you feel, you're gonna feel yourself right back on the plantation. Because that's where the left wants to take people. They believe that this country should have high taxes. This country should have no entrepreneurship. They believe that we need just a few people in the elite status, and that comes from the government, while all of us are proletariats. And like I said, if we think about it, black people, particularly black women, they took the bait, particularly the Gen X black women, maybe some of the baby boomers, they took the bait on being single moms and welfare. It was my generation. I don't say all the baby boomers do. I know we blame the baby boomers, but a lot of it's my generation. Yeah, we got, and I'm talking about the early Gen Xers, my generation, and it went down. And in the end, we're the ones that are going to continue to suffer. The world's not fair, but you need to understand it. But you need to have standards. And men, you know, they're getting up on panels, complaining. And the men that are complaining, they don't really have much going for themselves. They act like they have much. See, if you have something going for yourself, you don't have to get up on a panel all the time. You don't have to get up there. You know, a lot of these panels are silly. Men are cackling like women. Men are emotional like women. Men have just, they've allowed themselves to be defeated. And when you take a defeated attitude, when you're supposed to be responsible, you have women out there trying to tell men how to be men, and women don't even know how to be women. And you know, can't blame the women for this. All that simping comes from the laws too. But who made all the laws? Men. That's right. Men made all these laws out there. You guys don't want to hear it. Who runs the media? Men. Who runs Hollywood? A lot of men. Women are only getting what you give them. But when you allow women to have power, I mean, you look at the NFL. You know, the NFL is trying to cater to women with all this flag football. You want to watch this flag football? What tackle football? You look at, to keep the men involved, they got all these women reporters on the sideline. They don't know anything about football. In fact, the only women that I knew who really knew about some football, people like Susie Colbert, Linda Cohn, and she used to work at Channel 13 in Baltimore a long time ago. Andrea Kirby. She knew those three women right there. Linda Cohn, Andrea Kirby, Susie Colbert. They knew about sports. You know, it's kind of funny too when I hear some of the sisters talk about the white woman out there. It's funny, but a number of these black women were high profile, like Robin Roberts, Wanda Sykes, Lori Lightfoot. Are they with other black women in lesbian relationships? No, they're not. They're with white women. And there's another one. Her name is Lee. She used to work at Channel 2 in Baltimore. I peeped all of them out. She's on ESPN. ESPN. Well, she has a woman in Nashville, a white woman. So all this so-called, you don't want to see brothers with white women? Look at your lesbian relationships with some of the high-profile individuals with money, black women. They're with the snow bunnies. But see, this is what people aren't peeping out. I'm exposing all the hypocrisy. And even if I'm hypocritical, I expose myself. Because I'm not right all the time. Things do change. But I'm just going to say this. Don't let the pollsters, because the pollsters are putting incorrect information out there, so you won't go vote. They're trying to get into your head by telling you, oh, and Trump has only been in power 11 months. But they're trying to tell you the Republicans are going to lose the midterms. We don't know what's going to happen. But all the individuals, they talk about MAGA, they weren't MAGA. They weren't MAGA. They didn't know which side they wanted to be on. They didn't get what they wanted from the Democrats, so they shifted over to Republicans. Now they're not getting what they want. I mean, why should we have to cater to the middle 20%? You get your base and then the middle 20%, because those are the individuals that don't know what they want. And they're the ones who are the most gullible because they're influenced by their emotions. They don't think. That's the problem right there. They call themselves the independents. No, they're really not independents or swing voters. No such thing. You should know what you want. They're the ones who cause the chaos. My humble opinion. But in the meantime, I believe I said enough in this video, but I just wanted you to get an idea of what's really going on out there. Don't believe the propaganda, because all the propaganda is going to do is try to force you into believing the lies, change your mind. You got to be strong. Avoid all the propaganda. In fact, turn off the television. People like me don't have a big channel. I'll do the research for you. Understand what's going on in your own backyard. You know, you really can't tell nationally what's going on because everybody living in the United States, although we're one country, different states have different laws, and it's the government that you elect in your states. Because remember, government has tiers too, federal, state, and local. You have a lot of dummies. It's kind of funny. All the dummies vote for the worst government in California and Maryland and New York, and they try to bring that bullshit in states like mine. It doesn't work. You know, like I said, and for you individuals, if you're not for illegals, you're for illegals being here, and you're not for deporting the illegals, then go with them. And you individuals who come and talk about this country, that's fine. If you don't like this country, go back to your country. Take your flag and go back there and see how your government is. Because you're not going to be able to talk that nonsense in your country. Because your country is a dictatorship. That's why you're over here. Bottom line is, understand politics, understand the power of the media, understand the propaganda, and also understand topics. And outside of that, I'm just going to say this. Knowledge is power, and always seek the truth. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, check out my second channel, CIS channel. And on that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, here's where you can find me for the 401 Talk Zone Radio Show. You can find me right here on YouTube, X formerly Twitter, Truth Social, and you can also find me on Rumble. And for the QCIS channel, you can find me on YouTube, X formerly Twitter, and LinkedIn. And for individuals out there who are going to be viewing this content, if you're offended, then you're the person I'm talking to. If you're not offended, then take this message, educate yourself, and be more informed about what's going on. And don't worry about what the next man has. Because for the most part, when it comes to Americans, most Americans are, a lot of them are fake, and they think materials are your status. It's okay to have a nice, because nothing wrong with having a nice car. Nothing wrong with that. Bottom line, not always everything. And you don't have to have a nice car to have money in your pocket. But it's how you live your life. That's the main thing. So I just want to say this. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, then change it. Once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Song Radio Show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.